John preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ here live in Covington today on earth while it lasts, while it remains in its present form before the next phase, before the phasing into the next chapter. And there is all the elements are going to burn. Everything's going to burn. There's going to be a great plagues. There's going to be much that you will want to be hidden from. It says in Revelations that they'll go into the mountains, into the caves, and say, rocks fall on us because of how bad things are. And yet, right, people, right, we believe too late. We believe too late. Yeah, how are you going to accept that, right? Because the birds are chirping right now, the sun is shining, and so it's good to believe the truth. It's good to believe the truth, but what we do is we believe by preference, by convenience, and so you see that throughout the Bible. As men of truth go preaching the truth, they meet people that prefer not the truth, that rejoice not in the truth, but in convenience or in their own high-mindedness, something else. They don't have a love for the truth, so they don't make room for it. They don't make room in their lives, in their schedule, in their mind, in their heart. And so we see faith in Jesus, looking for faith and telling us to have more faith. That's an awareness of God. So that as you read the Bible, you're going to sense the increase of your faith as you read and read again. And on your second pass, third pass, as you keep reading, the words come closer. Right? Your heart agrees more how true it is. And yeah, there might be more revealed. Oh, this means I ought to do, I ought to be, I ought to think like. And it's going to change you, transform you more and more. You'll have more faith, and you'll how did you believe the coming of Jesus Christ and the end of the world, and all the things it says in Rapture, in Revelations, including the rapture and all that, and the tribulation. For some people, it's inconvenient to think about all that. It's just so far from my daily life. That's how I used to think. I don't want to think about that. Who knows if it's even true? But now, right, faith lets you know, wait, this is a focus. Wait, this is good to consider. Wait, these are all the words of truth and sobriety. This tells you about the beginning of the world, what happened since then to today, and what will happen, and what will be leading up to the end, and what happens after the end. It tells you all that, so that you get, I really appreciate when I went to the mall. You're trying to look for a store, and you find one of those big panels. If it doesn't have an ad on it, it might have a map on it, and a little red dot that says, you are here, right? And it orients you. It's really helpful. I really like that, instead of having to go walk all the way down. And, oh, the store I'm looking for is not here. And all the way that way. Oh, the store I'm looking for is not here. And you're tired. But you get to look at the map and say, oh, I'm right here. Oh, it's just right. Oh, it's around the corner. Right? And you get to go and find the store. Find what you need. We find ourselves. We find God. We find where we are in the world. We find out what the world is. All through giving ourselves to God. People want to go through science. People want to read books, textbooks, go to classes, thinking that's how they learn about the world. Wrong. Yes, it does teach you some things about the world, this and that, but who wants the whole thing? Right? It gives you pieces, but you need the whole thing, right? You need a vision. You need to be on top of the mountain. You need a layout. You need an overview. You need to understand, where am I in this, right? You need to understand, oh, that's a forest. You can't just study the trees and the bark and the roots. You need to understand, oh, the forest, the desert, the plains, the valleys. And yeah, that's one of the things I like to do too. Growing up, sometimes we moved a lot, or I find myself in different places, areas, cities, or places where I'm living or going to school, and I'm like, okay, this is a new place. I'd like to look at the map or drive around and get a feel for what's around. Where am I? Right? The context of where I am. Okay, so this is kind of this neighborhood, and if I go here, there's a train over here I can take, and you get a layout, right? You get a feel for, where am I? And I was surprised by some people, especially from my experience, Koreans and Chinese, who might come from their country, come to the States, and they have a little Chinatown or Koreatown, and they might stay there, and they might have the one store they go to, and that's all they know, because it could be out of fear, right? I don't know the language. I don't want to contact other people. I'm scared. I'm in a new place, but I'm comfortable here where people speak my language. And so, yeah, that's their world. It's just down the street to that market and back home. And I was like, wow, that you spent your whole life just knowing this, going only here. And so they need a lot of help. Right? If they need to go to somewhere else, like the embassy or the post office, they're like, I've never been there. I don't know how to get there. Right? So, yeah, I like to know the area, what's around. And God gives us that about life. Who you are, you're made to be this. You're actually this. Yeah. He said, I called you gods. What does that mean? How? In what way? Right? And he gives us his word, his scripture, his truth. He tells us we're worshipers. He shows us how to worship. He tells us we're sons. He tells us how to pray, how to relate to him, how to go to him. Because you need to understand, Esther understood. He needs to raise his scepter. So she understood, yeah, if I go, that would be death. But she also understood, if there's a purpose of God, then I must go, even though I could die. So she goes with those two apparently clashing laws. Well, I'm going to die because no one goes to the king. I haven't been to the king. And if he doesn't raise the scepter, I'm dead. And yet I must go. So am I going to die? Am I going to live? So convenience would say, well, let's not, because I might die. So why would I? Don't risk it. Don't chance it. Don't go. And you die. You die. Trying to save your life, you die. But Esther laid her life down and said, well, this is the will of God. This is for the people of God. If I perish, I perish. I'm not going to grab life like it's in my hands. If I perish, well, that's up to God. Let him do what he will. And let me obey. Let me just do what I must do. And Mordecai said this. Yeah, there will be deliverance that will rise up from some other place. I think I know what he's talking about. I'll be discarded. Right? What happened to Vashti before me? So she got that. She understood. She went to the king. Saul the king, he was also given a sign, a clue. Because his failure was He was supposed to wait for the prophet to come. Nothing's done unless the prophet comes and blesses the sacrifice. And yet he forced himself to do the sacrifice. But before he became king, some people let him know, yeah, nothing's done until the prophet comes. We don't move. We don't move. Unless the prophet comes, nothing gets done. We don't act. You know, the prophet must come and bless the sacrifice. He didn't get that. He didn't get that. He didn't catch that. So now in his moment, where that could have benefited him, he said he forced himself to sacrifice because of his fear. He followed his fear and convenience. And so we are to consistently, constantly, without ceasing, engage God so that our hearts can be conditioned to, so that it can be brought to mind. Oh, yes. What you need to remember in the moment you need to remember it, so that you can do the thing you need to do in the moment you need to do it. So that's why life is difficult, because there's time and judgment, there's accuracy that's required. Right? You could have a powerful jet plane. You could have a powerful gun on it. You could shoot the gun, ba 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 ba, and not hit anything. Right? There's got to be a enemy plane in right there, and not even in your sights. Right? Where is it going? You aim for it, you're going to miss, because now it's not where you were aiming. You have to know where it's headed, predict where it's going to be, and shoot there. That's difficult, because you got to also know how fast it's going. So timing, it's got to be perfect. And then, boom, you hit it. And that's life. And there's all these variables, all the situation that's moving, all the exceptions, all the things to consider. Right? It's popping its head, it's disappearing. Oh, it's popping its head, it's disappearing. In this scenario, you got these elements to consider. In these scenarios, you got more to consider, you got less to consider. It's a different time, different people. How can you factor all that in? Easy. With the Word of God, God tells you, do this. And so in our pride, we say, no, I don't want to be dependent on a God that tells me what to do. I want to know with my brain, with my books, with my intellect, with my radar systems, with my social media. I think I understand the situation. You don't. And the results will tell that you don't. Right? People show the result of that, the pride. I don't need God. I don't believe in God. We're fine by ourselves. Who needs God? That's so antiquated. We have technology now, and yet you see people in their, Tesla cars. Oh, the car burned. The car exploded. So, yeah. The phones, right? The phones explode. The phones catch on fire. Man, that could take a plane down. Yeah, people are paranoid, scared. I thought you said technology is going to save your life. It's destroying you. It's making you paranoid. It's making you... it's not really helping you. You thought you would have more control, but you're losing control. You're losing control. Yeah, people say that about AI, right? I think we lost control of this. We don't know where it's going. We just kind of made it, released it, and we don't know what's happening. We don't know. They make things and they just hope. Yeah, we hope it, right? The technology, a lot of times they come up with something and they acknowledge, this could be used for good and bad. Right? Like guns, right? So that's the hot debate. Right? Do people kill people? Guns kill people? They want to debate that. But we see, obviously, it's a tool. You can hunt with it. You can do that, or you can kill people. Right? But if the people are not orderly, if the people don't have a good heart, then yeah, they're gonna turn it on people. Yeah, they're gonna you're gonna see more of that in the headlines. Oh, people shot people, right? Because of the people's hearts. And so Saul shot that gun. He forced himself to do the sacrifice. And Esther, she understood, no, I must go. I must go at the peril of my life. If I perish, I perish. And so Esther, she delivered the whole nation. Saul, he lost the nation. He sinned, he lost his position, he lost security, safety, protection. Yeah, because in Jesus we have everything. We have provision, protection, salvation, redemption, peace, hope, life, strength. And so daily we take care to thank him for that and all that, acknowledging, remembering, because we forget. Oh, that's right, he also does this. Oh, that's right. Oh, God, you're everything. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, in 24 hours. Because the world is so loud. The world has its own draw and power and force of darkness that wants to, and we have to go into the world, right? Jesus doesn't take us out of the world. So we must work the field. You get dirty, right? When you work in the field. You got to wash yourself. You got to come back into the presence of God. You walked all over. Now, yeah, you need your feet washed. You need your mind washed, your heart washed. Daily renewal. And yesterday we were in our local congregation gathering. We were talking about prayer, and it was big. It was big. We went deep and far. And it was so much to talk about, because God's wanting to deal with our hearts, and yet our hearts are so tangled up. It's such a mess, right? Now we have wireless and Bluetooth, so you don't see as many wires, but you still have wires. But I remember back before they had all that, if you went to the back of the television, especially, for people who had a lot of accessories, peripherals, like consoles, video game systems, sound systems, VHS, whatever else they're going to hook up. If you look behind the TV, it was a big, giant mess. Right? People didn't bother to untangle all the power cords. There's so many. Right? You got the AV, the left, right speaker cord, and then you got the power one, you got the one that leads to the monitor, you got the one that hooks up to the left speaker, the right speaker, and I don't know what else all these other wires do. Right? Yeah, some Korean families you see karaoke machines, they like that, and so you see a lot of wires back there. And yeah, you're not gonna, some people, very rarely, I'm not sure if I've ever seen it, but I know some people must have done it, because they had cord organizers, where you'd keep it nice and tidy. They sell that at the store, but I never seen anyone in their homes like actually have it organized. That's how our hearts are. Because you experienced this, you learned this, you saw that commercial, you watched this show, you watched that movie, and they're telling you all different kinds of ideas about what life is and how to act and how to be. And now that we're saved and we're baptized and we put that dead self behind, we're on a journey to become like God. But on the way, it's twofold. Right? It's less of me and more of him. And so, yeah, there's that cutting away and that untangling of, okay, how did I become like this? Is this true? Is this really who I am? And what does God say? And so it's a long work. And yeah, he might target this part of yourself, this area, for a season or a moment. And then the next moment, the next season, he might show you something else. And we have to do all that work. Right? If you might feel like, oh, it's inconvenient, it's scary. Right? You might feel like it's scary to go into that cavernous region of your heart. What's in here? Yeah, I remember someone telling me about how he verbalized that. He said, I'm scared. I don't want to know. I'm scared about knowing myself, who I am. And what am I going to find there? There might be things you don't want to acknowledge about yourself. Yeah, someone mentioned it yesterday too, and I could relate to that, about seeing the mirror and having thoughts about, your mom and dad, but you look like them, right? And so you look in the mirror and you see pieces of them, parts of them, or flashes of them. You say, what? oh man. Right? I can't get away from that. That's here. That's me in there. That's them in there. And why? Right? Those are opportunities. And God is going to work through all that and have us consider and understand, who am I? Right? Why do I feel the things I feel? What are my motivations? It's good to understand that, right? Because what if Saul did? What if Saul understood? Right? I should force myself to do the sacrifice. Wait, why am I wanting to do that? What's leading me to do that? I feel fear in my heart. I think I'm acting out of fear and impatience and frustration. I think this is unbelief. I think God's not going to do it. So I have to take over and I put things in my own hands. Even though it's a sacrifice, I'm not really putting it in the hands of God, because the instruction is, I was told to obey. And yeah, if he puts in that work, if he's mindful and considerate of himself and what his heart is doing, right? But what would that have taken? A more consistent prayer life in the private, more faithfulness in other areas, in other days, that would lead up to, in that moment, right, God bringing to his mind, remember what they said? Oh yeah, I remember. So it might be scary to go into that cave. Right? What's in my heart? I don't know. I don't want to go there. But as you go, the Lord will go with you and shine the light. And it's different than therapy, right? Than the worldly therapy, because they might go in circles. They might prescribe you something. Therefore, okay, now time for take this medication, right? And just breathe. And right, they might have some limited effect, but with God, we have an eternal effect. We have an eternal effect. As we dig into that ground, into our hearts, into ourselves, with God, with the Word of God, in the presence of God, through worship, through prayer, through giving of ourselves and bearing our heart to him, then there's treasures, right? As we dig, we actually find treasure. And God gives that to us, opens it up, right? So that you can overcome parts of yourself. Though there might be shame about, oh man, I did that. Oh man, I'm like that. Oh man, I think like that. But God's standard is, you see the difference, and yet now comes the help of God, right? Because you show your desire, you did the work to uncover that, and you bring your tangled mess to God, and you ask for help, and yeah, he's going to give you power. He's going to give you understanding to know, oh, that's why I do this. Yeah, and then you're going to experience the gradual, progressive transformation of yourself from where you are and where you were to what you're becoming, to what God calls you to be, so that you can do what God calls you to do. Have the testimonies of God, right? Because you're having less of you and more of God, more faith, more trust in God. And that takes transformation, a change from our old state and our old ways of acting and being. And that's why we need God, right? Because we don't know what we've become. We don't know. You don't know what that did to you when you watched that movie, when you were in that neighborhood, when you had those friends, when you, right, growing up in the family that you grew up with, all the things that made you who you are. No one explained it to you. You didn't consider it. It happened, and now, right, you're this composite of millions of things that happened. And so you don't know, and yet God knows how to untangle all that, show all that, right? Straighten you out, build you up, remodel you, remake you. And so, yeah, we run to God. We run to God every day, and we strive in prayer to give God our heart, our whole heart. And yeah, you might not be able to do it in a moment, right? Just give it all, right? Just know it all. But yeah, he lets you do it piece by piece, day by day. Today, give me that. Today, consider this, right? Today, look. Oh, that's in my heart. And you give that, you bring that. So there's a lot to give God, but it's okay because there's a lot that God wants to give to you as you give of yourself. Give, piece after piece, day after day, moment after moment, because sometimes it might take a moment, right? A situation to uncover that part of yourself. Oh, I'm this way, right? Or to make you question, why did I do that? Right? That's something to bring to God, to ask and to show. God, I do this. I noticed I do this. That's God that helps you notice that. And then you're bringing it back to God. And he's going to continue the progression, the next step. All right, good. It's good that you came. It's good that you asked. Let me tell you. And then, so life is full of excitement and joy and transformation, because we get to have a Father that speaks to us, and we get to have a Father that listens to us, right? That invites us, come, right? Talk to me, tell me more. And so, I don't know, for some people, it might be easier than others. For me, that's something I am working on and overcoming from how I was raised, right? Part of it is culturally being a man and what you're told about that, and also just society in general about this setup of pretense, right? Social media, and even before all that, even from the Asian side, this concept of saving face, right? So you're going to have a lot of these methods and modes of being that encourage and that tell you to be two ways. Present one thing, be something else. Right? And that part of that presentation could be, I guess, modern terminology, fronting, right? Just put up a front, put up an appearance of something, and that could confuse you. Right? You could believe your own lie. Things are messed up inside, but hey, have composure. Right? Make it look like everything's fine. And you believe it. And so it might be difficult for you to bring your problems to God, because you think, I think everything's fine because I'm acting fine. No, you're acting, right? So God helps us through all that, break all that down as we strive with him, right? As we're willing to spend time with him. It might take more time in his presence for rocks to be broken down, the water. So that's amazing. The rocks in the river, how they're smoothed. You can't see it in a moment. You can't sit down by the river and then see it happening. Oh, look, the rocks, they're being smoothed out. No, right? You need to record that on a time lapse over like 50, 100 years. And then fast forward that. The water. Right? But you see in the moment, in real time, how many particles of water are hitting that rock as the water passes over the rock. And I guess there's also the rock hitting against the other rocks too, like jostling, and but you're not seeing it. You're not seeing effects, but yet through this finished product, you know, oh, so the effect happens over time, even though in your slice of time, it's not noticeable. And yet if you stay in the river, if you stay in the stream, it's going to happen. So there's no reason to be discouraged that it's not happening now. Well, just stay. Just keep persisting, right, in God, to do everything in God, to bring all your emotions and feelings and motivations and words to God, right? Remain in Him, abide in Him, live in Him. Ask Him where He lives. He's going to tell you, come and see. He's going to invite you. He invites you to tell of yourself, tell on yourself, tell everything that's in your heart. So we see David in the Psalms beautifully giving multiple expressions of that, examples of that, right? All these sides and angles of the human heart, and how we see our situation and how we relay it back to God and how we come back to the situation. But you see the end of David's life, right? Victory, right? Through all that, moment by moment, day by day, situation by situation, battle by battle, fear through fear, and then overcoming of the fear. Right? Lord, look, Lord, this is happening. Lord, my heart, Lord, I feel like this. Lord, I'm overwhelmed. Lord, the waves right over me. And then through that, right, how he's coming to God, learning of God. Wow, your mercies are new every day, God. Wow, God, you give me victory. You make me to leap over walls. Wow, God, you're this. You do this. And even, one of the Psalms, it always gets me. So it's surprising to me. I forget which one, but he's talking about the bad situation and how things are. God, you don't go with us to battle, God. And then it's just one verse. I expect like half of it to be kind of like the psalm that Asaph has, where he's looking at the wicked prosper. He might be a little envious, discouraged, but then the other half turns around and says, oh, how foolish was I? I went into the house of God, and He showed me their end, and I'm comforted, and I have peace. And so I was expecting that, but in this psalm, it goes all the way to the last verse, and it just says, blessed be the Lord, and that's how it ends. Right? But it does end in God. Right? And blessed be the Lord. What does it take to have that kind of heart? To know, wait, no, you don't end with your problems. Though, no matter how bad it might be, blessed be the Lord. That's where it all ends. That's where it all starts and ends. So He knows. No, you bless the Lord. You bless the Lord. That's with whom we have to do. That's the end of the matter. It's all God. Problems. Yeah, but the only thing really I should say that's worthy of saying, blessed be the Lord. Right? And yet you say all that you say, like you're supposed to itemize it, examine it, dissect it. Lord, this, why? And He helps you go deeper. He helps you understand. I really like sometimes the images I see of cross sections, right, of complicated things. That what's coming to mind now is like a ship. Right? They might show a ship, a big sailing ship, and then they show, an artist might do a creative rendition of what would it look like if we cut the boat in half. And then they show all the little rooms and compartments, and you get like a X-ray vision. And that's fascinating, right, to see things like that. Oh, look, normally you wouldn't be able to see it like that, and yet that's the kind of view that God would give you, right? Understanding, right? Because life, it just seems shut. It seems like, if we just go by the appearances, we know that even just in the natural, things are not as they seem, right? That's why, you're suspicious. Like, what plan is he working? Yeah, what's the catch? Yeah, what's really going on? And yet it's so much deeper, right? Because it's not just the natural, you got to add the spiritual too. So then what's really going on and what's really going on? And God will give you all that depth. God will give you just understanding in a moment, and how deep that understanding is. And so you see, people receiving that. Right? Daniel, right, receiving much revelation through prayer and through how the heavens work, and the angel responding to him, explaining to him what's going to come. Joseph understanding what happened and why things had to happen that way, understanding his heart and his brother's heart and the kingdom and the governance. And right, God just gives that. That's why he named his children Ephraim and Manasseh. Right? God made me to forget all my affliction. Right? And he made me to prosper in a strange land. He made me forget. He made me prosper. Yeah, and we got Isaac. Right? Oh, you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. Right? Through all this. Yeah, Abraham, you had to leave your family, leave your home. You had to sometimes not be with your wife. And you got everything back. And you had to have Ishmael go. And you had to sacrifice Isaac. Wow. Right? What a life. And you got him back, right? You almost went through with it, but you were told, don't. God provided you a sacrifice. Yeah, he had a covenant with God. Oh, that is still in play today. He was told 400 years they'll be in captivity, and then they'll come out, and this land will be theirs, and you'll have nations like the stars. If you can number the stars, you can't number the stars. Maybe with all the light pollution we have now, you might think, oh, there's only like 100 stars up there. There's not. If you go to a place without all the interference, you're going to see the skies full of stars. And so he was talking to Abraham. Look at the stars. Look at all this. This is your nation. This is what you're going to beget. And so at first he got that naturally, and now by faith, by the Spirit, it's those who, Jesus said, Abraham's your father if you do what Abraham did, and walk in faith, live in faith. So we live our lives not by sight, but by faith, by daily prayer, by engaging God, by not trusting in ourselves and what we know. But we know that what we know is we don't know nothing. We don't know anything. That's why we go to God like children, right? Depending on him, relying on him. Though it seems like that, though I learned that today, let me bring that to God. Because all knowledge is ignorance. That's wise, right? To know in the natural. Right? Oh, you learned that? And bring it to God. Let him tell you about it. Yeah, he's going to say, oh, so that was part 1 of a 50-part thing. Let me explain to you the rest. Right? Oh, man, if I just went with that, I would have been operating in ignorance. I would have been operating in one law. Right? But there's 49 others that applies. And that's why you get good success with God, who gives you everything you need to know, who gives you commands. Right? That's beyond your understanding. Sometimes the right thing to do is irrelevant of the law, right? Because in terms of the law, right? So you might even understand and learn all 50 laws, and yet what you must do is something contrary to law, right? Because there's 50 more, right? But you learned all the first 50, so you could be confident. Oh, so that means I have to do, and you'd be dead wrong. Right? You need God to tell you, okay, so from my heavenly perspective, right, from where I am, John, from my all-knowing perspective, do this. Yeah, and if you're humble, you say, yes, God. Despite weight, but you know that goes against everything you just learned. Right? Yeah, there's things that man is so, in our pride, we're so confident about. You know, this is how you must live. You must eat these foods. You must exercise this much. You must do this, and then you'll have good health. Oh, but you got cancer. Why? Yeah, you don't know everything. Apparently. And yet we're too proud to acknowledge that, to come down from that sense of, it's okay, you just need, right? Yeah, because everyone's in the marketplace. Everyone wants to, you just need this. This will help you. This will really help you. And they're selling their product. You don't know that you're not in class. You're not in school. You're in a marketplace. Right? Everyone's saying, this is the magic pill. This is the snake oil that you need. This is, and God is going to be honest with you. God's going to be the one that really gives you real instruction. Right? And so we need to be sanctified, because all that disappointment from the world, we bring it to God. Right? Suspicion with God. Really, God? But it's opposite. No, you ought to put down all that guard, put down all the defensiveness and suspicion with God. Right? And then, yeah, you don't have enough suspicion of the world, because it's so seductive. It's, yeah, we're so foolish, right? They could have failed us 4 times, and on the 5th time they're like, but now we really got it. And then how is it that we're so much more open and prone to that than if we just did what God told us to do? Why? Because God's going to tell us to do what's inconvenient, what costs of me, what requires sacrifice, less of me, and letting go of me. It might be through fear. Although you're afraid, can you still do it? Although it's inconvenient, can you still do it? Although it requires patience, can you endure through it? Those are the things that usually God commands of us. Say, this is the right thing to do, but it will take this. And then, of course, there's 2 trees in the garden. And there's something else that the serpent is going to tell you to look at and to consider, how it's good for you and how God is holding back from you. So it does take unbelief and this animosity, this hatred for God, to go with the alternative. And it expresses that. God, you didn't tell me about this. You must be holding back. That must be the thing. And we know how that goes. Right? It's going to end up in, I just read the Bible. Right? Read the stories. God already told us. Right? It's going to be an I told you so situation. Oh, you ended up like this guy. You ended up like this guy. This guy. This guy. That didn't trust in the Lord. That wanted to make some other idol. Something else to worship, which is really just my own heart. Right? We like idols. They have eyes, but they can't see. They have mouths, but they can't talk. So they can't tell us what to do. I get to do what I want to do. As well as rebellion against God. I don't want a father. Oh, so you want to be a bastard? Get the results that bastards get. And so God is calling and looking for those who will be present, who will be at his feet, who will be children, right, joyfully sitting at his feet, right? Who love the Father, who return to the Father, who come back again and again. Children, servants, soldiers, priests, kings, right, who come to the King, who love the Father's instruction and comfort and presence. Kings, right, who are responsible, who understand their duty and their role and how they are to have dominion in the area, in the responsibilities that are given to them. Right? Soldiers fighting through the daily battles, knowing that this is a battleground, a battlefield of the mind of the world, to desire to overcome and to advance the kingdom. So taking on all those roles and understanding your own identity in God as that, right? Everything in the context of God, in reference to God. Well, because I'm this, because God told me I'm this, and God told me that this situation is this, because of what God said it is, and then you can war, have victory, have good success, because you're living in God. You're striving to be one with the heart of God and operate with the mind of Christ. In Jesus' name.